Hi, everybody. My little hair sticking up in the back. Ask me some questions, whatever you want to know, and I can answer it the best that I can. Y'all gonna have to bear with me because this is my second one. Well, I could start off by talking about why I choose to put so much dedication into mortuary makeup. Now, I was one that was very scary. I was everything, I was afraid of the dark, bugs, whatever. And after I did my mother's makeup, it kind of like opened me up to a new horizon. And then once I got the feeling from helping the families, that's really what fueled me into becoming a mortuary cosmetologist. And not a day goes by, even if the families don't, directly address me, but, they let it be known that they're very pleased with the services and also the love and care that was put behind it. Um, I need, it took a little time for me to get used to it. I didn't just go in and I was like, okay. It took some years for me to build up the courage, but I learned a lot of things, and so that's why I started this channel so that I could help other people learn how and to serve families better, because it's an issue with makeup. People go to their family members' funerals and they're unfamiliar, and that's heartbreaking to some people because not only has their loved one passed away, but now they're looking at someone that's supposed to represent their loved one and they look nothing like them. So I try to go in and I put in extra work just to provide that to the families. I also I work with an embalmer. He's really helpful. He's been really helpful behind this whole process because I wouldn't have learned as much as I did, if I didn't have someone to, ask questions to, you know, teach me while they're working. Hello, MS Tells the Truth. Yeah, tell her to just keep working on it and don't give that dream up. I wish I had started earlier, but we all have our own little destiny. Sunshine, aka the image of working at a funeral home. Yeah, it's very hectic. And it's something that you may not be able to forget. You have to work on training your mind and learning how to adapt. Amala, well, you can either so I'm a cosmetologist, and so that's where my credentials come from. I didn't necessarily go through mortuary science school, but if you get your mortuary license, you can do the hair and the nails. Now, I'm not for sure where you're from, but depending on your state or your country, I would check the regulations for that. Oh, and sending my condolences about your grandmother. Yay, congratulations, Sunshine AK. I've been debating. I applied. You're in Pennsylvania? Okay. I would check the state's requirements and go look at beauty schools. If you just want to take the cosmetology route, then you can go to beauty school, and it's normally like 9 to 15 months depending, the coursework. I'm not for sure about mortuary science school. I think it's 2 years plus depending on what you go for. How's everything going, Sunshine? Everybody's in Pennsylvania. And I'm in Texas. Well, I wanted to continue my education as far as going to mortuary science school because that's where you're able to learn more and find out more information as far as behind the scenes, is in depth with working with the deceased. And so I wanted to learn that, but you have to be mentally prepared to do that. Oh wow, you're in Alaska. Yeah, it's somewhat of a huge field. What were you in the medical field, if you don't mind me asking? I know it's a difference. And I wanted to go to nursing school, but I couldn't draw blood. And now, life works in mysterious ways. Okay, so you're behind the scenes. Yeah, this is a little bit more hands-on. And I really think once you get your skill down and your mindset, situated, then it becomes easier with time. But yeah, so if you don't have any licensing or certifications, I would look into cosmetology school. And then if you don't want to take the cosmetology route, then I would look into the mortuary science school. So y'all have any experiences that you want to share? Or what got you wanting to be in the industry? Thank you, MS. Yeah, it is. It is fascinating, Sunshine AK. It's more of, for me, it's curiosity. Like, wow, that's what that does. That's what that is. It's fascinating. Especially it helps you learn how the human body works. We're not that in tune with it on the cosmetic side, but when you go to the mortuary science side, you actually learn how the body works if you're not in nursing and things like that. Yeah, Amala, I would do the cosmetology school because even if you like to do cosmetics, if a funeral home were to hire you, they would prefer to hire someone that can do both the hair and the makeup and the nails so that way they don't have to contract other professionals. Yeah, Sunshine AK, yeah, that's what I want to get into. The restorative art. Ooh, well, MS, tell her to keep on pushing. If she's led to that, then that's probably something that she'll be good at. Yeah, and Amala, if you have the basic skills down, you know how to do hair and makeup, then I would suggest going to mortuary science school. But the college part, the school, passing exams, all that. Oh. And now they have it to where you can do it online and then do your labs with someone who is licensed to certify you or, do your hours. But I don't know too much about that. Don't quote me. I'm still learning. Yeah, and Amala, when we do the restorative art, the makeup, the wax is what you really have to learn how to manipulate. And I work with the softer waxes as far as putting it over a wound or, covering up a spot on their face that isn't smooth. But whenever you build their face, like reconstruct a body part or, nose, lips, that wax is a little bit firmer, and I haven't got to experience that yet. I have some that one of my friends let me look at so I could try to practice, but I haven't. But it's interesting. I know on YouTube, if I can find the link, I'll post it, about a class of mortuary science students that were rebuilding or reconstructing faces. But they had to build a whole face, and it's on a plastic skeleton mannequin, and it doesn't have any eyes, so you have to redo everything. Yeah, the makeup is completely different. It's a lot thicker, and sometimes it's oily because their skin, it dries, all the moisture is removed from the body. I know. I know, sunshine. Yeah. Because those testing, I've heard where it was crucial. And I feel like the possibilities are endless. Like, even if you did take the mortuary science route, there are always continuing education classes that you can go to. As far as makeup is concerned. With hair, you might be able to do classes where you can learn. So it's really, I would really just focus on what your main game plan is and then go that route. Because I'm doing the opposite. Yeah, and I'll help you too once you learn. Once I get all this figured out, then I'll teach you, the makeups, more about the makeups, where you can get them from. And a lot of the mortuary makeups, you have to have an account, and you have to have either your funeral or your embalming license, some type of funeral professional license, or a mortuary or barber license to be able to get an account to get mortuary makeup. But there are some companies that don't require that, but I haven't tried them out yet just because I'm used to working with what I already work with. I mean, yeah, it's very interesting to say the least. And they say that you can use, and it's true, you can use the foundation that the family brings in, but not in all cases, just because of the integrity of the skin. So that's why the mortuary makeup is used, so that way it won't be any spotting all over it. It's hard to blend, especially when their skin changes and it hardens, it becomes more smooth. So even if you go back over it with something, you take the chance of removing it, and then you can see the undertone of their pale skin. Sorry, I keep looking down. I'm chatting and yeah. See, you already know what you're doing, sunshine. And you don't have to necessarily just stick with it. You can use a combination, but if it's a situation to where, you have to get your person prepared in a timely manner, go with what you know. But if you have time to try something out, where you could redo the makeup again, I'm not saying, I'm not condoning it, but just to get a little bit more practice, that would be a way to do it. I know some other foundations that I want to check out. I believe her name it's Lola7. I want to try that. And there's also another one called DermaPro. I think it's dermapro.net. There's two different DermaPros. I don't know if they're the same company or not, but one is a regular cosmetic company and the other is a funeral makeup company. And I use Pierce Direct. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, it takes some time, and it's also hand techniques that makes a big difference too, because you can't go in and just smear them. You know how we put the makeup on? It's more of like a dabbing effect instead of us just going in and wiping on the foundation. You have to literally dab it to where it goes into their pores. And that's why they use the stipple brush, and it's a really stiff brush, and at the end of it the bristles are long, and I don't know what material it's made out of, but it puts me in the mindset of like the old brooms where I can't even explain it. But anyway, it's firm and it's easier to go into the pores, so it won't leave any discoloration on the face. Now I've been looking more into trying to make my own makeup, just because, you know, you can use other people's cosmetics, but I feel like it would be awesome to create my own. Yeah, brush stipple brushes. Thank you, Sunshine. Oh gosh. I fell in love with the stipple brush once I realized its purpose. And then I don't know if you have a Miss A's where you're at, but it's a cosmetic store. I don't know if you saw the video, but that is such a helpful place for mortuary makeup artists, funeral directors, anybody who's just starting off, because the makeup can be fairly expensive. So if you can find, you know, additional makeup as far as the embellishments go, like lipsticks, and I would even recommend getting lip color from the funeral home supply companies, because the consistency is different. So you can put someone's lipstick on, but it may not appear the way that it should. But if you use the lip glosses and the lip colors that come in the mortuary makeup kit, you will get better results. But you can, you know, mix and match. But like I said, if you have time to try out different things, then that's what I would suggest. You know, that's the only way you're going to learn. You converted all the guys, okay? Oh, that's